Hey, this is Jason with 4W Knives. I'm going to talk a little louder. I've got the forge running in the background. Today's project is going to be some stainless san mai. I've already got the billet completely welded shut, so no oxygen can get in. Had a friend of mine weld up a bunch of these. I've got 6 or 7 billets. I've done this successfully a couple of times, but it's extremely difficult. I ended up having a professional welder weld these up to keep all the oxygen out. Only thing I've got to do is put a little handle on it and we'll throw it in there. Hope you enjoy. Let's see what we can create. Handle on and into the forge. To do stainless, it does have to be completely absent of any oxygen. That's what the welding was for. I think all of my failures early on when I was doing this was because I did not get it sealed very well. Since I've had this welded by my friend Tim, who is a far better welder than I am, I've had mostly successes. You do have to run this at higher temperatures than what you would with normal high carbon forge welding. I don't know any of the reason behind it. I just know that you do. This stainless is 304 stainless. 304, 305, they are non-hardening. So the stainless will not harden, but I believe my core was a 1075. I've had these billets literally for probably a year and a half. So I don't really remember what I used for the core, but I know that it's a high carbon and it will hold an edge. So anyways, I appreciate you watching, and hopefully this nail comes out and looking good. Once I get it all pressed out, I take it to the roller mill, get it thinned out and lengthened out to about a 0.16 thickness. I'm going to be making, I don't know if it's a bushcraft, I don't know what it is. It's a different shape. And ended up kind of butchering it a little bit. Whenever I was grinding, I ground the part off that I wasn't supposed to. So we kind of just ended up ad-libbing a little bit, but I think it comes out all right. With this being a stainless san mai, I decided to do stock removal. All the reading that I had done previously or watching any of the other videos, they all suggested to not hammer on the side of these. A lot of times they will separate. I don't normally hammer out my san mais anyways because I want to keep the core centered. So this is right on par with what I would normally do. I use the cutoff wheel, get it pretty close to shape, and then I go to the 2-high 72 where I do all my finish grinding. And like I'd said, I got a little aggressive, didn't really see the line that I was supposed to be following, and I ground a little bit too much on the top part here. You won't be able to tell, but I do, and it kind of messes up the flow of the knife a little bit, but I still think it'll look all right once I get the bevels on, or at least I hope so. This recurve on this blade gave me a little bit of trouble. It just was awkward right there by my left hand. But I was able to persevere. I kept pushing through it. While you'll hear here in a minute, I didn't exactly love the way this came out initially after the rough grind, but I started figuring some things out as I was going. Right, so I thought I would slow down here before heat treat and just touch base. As you can see, I've got the bevels roughed in. I'm not digging this knife right now. I mean, I just kind of thought it looked pretty cool, and then I got it shaped, and I wasn't a big fan, and then I've got the bevels on there. I'm not a huge fan of the bevels. I'm going to keep trucking. I'm going to go ahead and do the heat treat. Still looks good. Maybe it's one of those things that I wouldn't buy it, but maybe somebody else will. So I'm going to keep trucking, finish this out, whether it's a great success or an epic failure. I'm going to keep going, and I'll bring you along. As I was finishing up the finish grind on this, I used the Trizac 45, which is about a 400 grit. Get the bevels down, looking pretty decent. There is a little spot where I didn't stay straight, and no matter how much I tried to correct it, I was unable to. So I was still a little bit discouraged at this point of the build on what the final was going to look like. All right, after a bunch of hand sanding, the bevels looked pretty decent. So I went ahead and etched it. I went ahead and taped it up. I didn't want you to see too much of the etching yet. I wanted you to wait till the final reveal. I went with these red, black, and gray handles, resin handles, and I thought they turned out okay. Maybe not the exact fit for this knife, but they shaped nicely, they buffed nicely, so I wasn't terribly disappointed. I started to get a little bit more hope that this knife was going to turn out pretty good. I'll let you guys tell me what you think once I get to the final pictures, because I'd be curious if you like the end of it. And my feelings don't get hurt very easily, so tell me what you think. I wasn't completely digging the handles, but I think the overall look of the knife really came around pretty good at the end. Just about finished shaping this, then I run it into the house, do a whole bunch of hand sanding, bring it back out, buff the handle really good, and here it is. Turned out pretty good. I sure like this stainless sand. I just think it kind of looks like it's almost melting into that high carbon steel. So you got that dark look, good contrast with the stainless. It's one of my favorite procedures we do. I'm not saying this is my favorite knife, while I do like it a lot more than what I thought I was going to. But I would be interested in you telling me what you think. Leave a comment. And as always, I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. Get a little notice on my next videos. I've got a few coming up. Thanks again.